Welcome back everyone to more of our custom career mode and VR gameplay. Langley in our last event was a lot of fun. It's very tight and a lot of side-by-side racing there. That track is essentially all corner. I mean, the straightaways are extremely short, but the corners are very long. It feels like you're in the corner forever at that track. But let's go ahead and fill in the appropriate details, starting with the qualifying this time. 26th. As a reminder, I have reduced the number of AI on the track. It's something that I was going to do anyway once we got into the truck series and beyond, just to try to ease the load on the CPU. The CPU, not the graphics card, but the CPU is the limiting factor during all of my testing, and lowering the number of AI cars certainly helps with that. So that should help ease the load a little bit, particularly if we're going to be using additional programs such as the Caution Clock and Crew Chief, which reminds me that Crew Chief did okay. There's some additional things that I want to try to tweak going forward, such as what it tells me about the cars behind. I want to see if I can get that a little bit better, and I've adjusted the volume a little bit so he'll be louder as well. But overall, we're going to give it a few races, see how it goes, see if it's something we want to continue using. Incident counts. We did not have any incidents. There were definitely a few wrecks and some contact during that race, but fortunately, none of it involved us. And then finally, our race position was 15th, so we'll take that. That is another solid finish. Not quite a top 10 that we're looking for, but a solid finish nonetheless. One final thing that I want to point out before we move forward into Richmond is the Caution Clock. So, as I mentioned in the last video, I cannot see the Caution Clock during the racing, so I have no idea if it's working or not. I have no idea once we get started if it's actually showing up on screen. After reviewing the footage, I did see that it showed up perfectly fine, just as I needed it to. It does not show up until the green flag drops, and then at a certain point toward the end of the race, it goes away. The reason for that is there is a certain number of laps from the end. In this case, 20 is the number. That's the default for the program. And I think it works out just fine. We can always adjust it later if need be. But once you reach 20 laps from the finish, it shuts off. So if you notice that it went away toward the end of the race, that would be why. It only runs during green flag conditions, and of course resets with every caution. And then with 20 laps to go, or less, it goes away completely. So overall, I think the test went very well. We're going to continue on with this and see how it goes. So up next is race number 12 of the series. In fact, let's go ahead and change our drop down to number 12. So we're headed to Richmond, another big wide track, comparatively speaking, for the super late model, similar in a lot of ways to Iowa. And we know that Iowa gave us our very first top 10, so I'm looking for good things at Richmond. Here we go, folks. 35 laps.
Follow car number 21 in the inside lane.
At Richmond. So good to see the crowd. Appreciate everybody coming out today. Hopefully we're going to put on a nice event, a very short event, of course at 35 laps, but very much looking forward to running some longer races using the Caution Clock once we get into the other series. And who knows, we may even do a special event or two extra at some of these places, such as Iowa or Richmond, some of these tracks that I absolutely love. But in all fairness, I love most every racetrack. It's hard to get me to not like a racetrack. You have to do a lot. All right, so 2 laps to green. We're starting on the outside lane. Remember, we're using 25 AI cars. The AI skill spread at 60 to 95, at least for a few more races, until we reset that and drop it some. Once again, we're using the Caution Clock in the top right-hand corner. It'll be visible once we go green until we reach 20 to go. So again, it's not going to be really useful in today's race, but I want you guys to know it's there and get used to seeing it until it actually becomes something that we get to use in some of our longer races. Also, you're going to hear Crew Chief Not the spotter from Crew Chief, but only the Crew Chief portion.
Ready.
That's the iRacing spotter you hear there. So let's have a good race, 35 laps.
Pace
See what
cars
we
in.
can do.
Green
Let's
flag.
go.
Green flag.
Like that encouragement. Let's go.
Got one inside. Clear inside.
You can see the high side going really
Inside.
high.
Keep it on top.
Got to get those tires up to temperature because by default, when they are cold, they are as slippery as they can be.
Hold your
And
line.
of course, what a perfect time to take
Hold
it
your
3
line.
wide.
Clear outside. Still there.
B25.
Because why not?
Stay high. You're in the middle. 3 wide. Hold your line. Hold your line.
Look at these guys darting
Clear
around. It's
outside.
fun.
Still there.
I mean, in VR, you
Still there.
actually feel like you're on the track.
The driver in front of us is Gale.
Keep high.
B23. That lap was a
3 wide. You're
22.6.
meet. Hold your line. Got one inside. Still there.
Woo!
Stay right there. Clear.
Really touch and go on the exit, just like we talked about at Iowa.
B21.
Coming off of turn 2, it gets loose here, where at Iowa it gets really tight. But here, yeah, definitely loose.
Okay, Brian. The next car is Lux.
And
Got one
definitely loose
outside.
off of 4.
Clear.
But that keeps the thing rotating.
That lap time was 22.3.
Outside.
So I have chosen to
P12.
leave it, right down on that apron, which is where I want to be. But boy,
Still
it
there.
can get really touchy. You start touching that apron.
Stay on the bottom.
You can hear me working that gas pedal. Hopefully you guys can hear Crew Chief much better this
Well,
time,
You're in the top 20.
20th place.
because I definitely do.
You're on the bottom. 3 wide. Hold your line.
Oh, easy now.
Outside. Still there.
Easy.
Clear outside.
Wasn't planning on the 94
Outside.
being right down there with
You're
us.
on the bottom. 3 wide. Got one outside. Still there.
Oh, he's doing some serious blocking.
You're on the bottom. 3 wide. Outside. Still there. Stay low. Keep to the bottom.
Okay, so we're just back to 2 wide now, which is good.
Still there.
Car's rotating nicely for me.
Got one outside. Stay on the bottom.
B19.
Clear to the top.
There we go. Let's get this thing spread out a little bit.
Got
See
one
if we can't
outside.
start making up some spots. See what kind of speed we've
Keep low.
got.
Still there.
B18.
Woo, look out.
Keep low.
Of course, we're getting a terrible entry into the corners
Clear to the top.
running down low like this, but this is where we need to be in order to make those passes right now. Not sure about the high side. All right, here we go. We should be able to get to the inside of the
Outside.
17, and sure enough, there we go.
Stay on the bottom. Clear to the top.
I am not full throttle on exit until we are well into the corner exit. So like right now, I am finally to full throttle, just trying to take it easy on those rear
B17.
tires. This is just an amazing track. Just like I said about Iowa, I just love these tracks. These short tracks are so much fun. All right, looks like we've got some pretty good pace. Running 17th right now.
Outside. Keep to the bottom. Clear outside.
Love that 50 car that
The
we're
lap time was
Got one
22.4.
outside.
that we're next to right now. I just love the paint scheme. It's very, very simple, but it just, something about it just grabs me. I really enjoy it. Maybe it's because I've seen that one or something very similar in real life from a car I like, so.
Sixteenth place. The gap to Robbins ahead is now 0.8.
All right, so we'll work on Robbins. See if we can get to him. Yeah, this car is doing very well for me right now. We'll see how that changes. Again,
the next car is Robbins.
I only ran a couple of laps of practice with the usual changes that I make to the iRacing setup. And then we go racing. Still a little twitchy on exit, but not bad at all.
20 to go straight.
And certainly not anything that I would be looking to change.
Outside. Stay on the bottom.
Car gets down into the corner good. Of course, there's plenty of speed to be had, but
15th place.
all right, top 15. I like it. All right, there we go. Yeah, this thing is really coming to me nicely.
You're gaining on the guy in front. The gap is 0.6.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Again, I just wish he would do that for cars behind, but maybe that's just because nobody's really gaining on us. We're moving forward. So that could be, very well be it as well. Other than the volume, I did not
Halfway
make...
home. We've got plenty of fuel.
I did not make any changes to crew chief other than the volume. So trying to give it a few races before I start making any big changes.
Got one outside. Stay low.
Side by side. That's why we love the short tracks. Haley Deegan giving me plenty of room. Oh,
There's the stop. Outside.
that was not a
Stay
good
on the
corner.
bottom.
Ran her up the track a little bit there. Very much unintentional. It just got in a little too deep. Yeah, I'm able to put down the throttle, full throttle, much earlier
14.
on corner exit now. So on corner exit here, I am full throttle now. That was a little different. I could feel the right rear slipping just a little bit. Turn 4. Yeah, it was slipping a little bit. And I also have that vibration in the pedals. Again, look in the description of all of the videos for this series for a lot of information about my PC, the wheel I'm using, the pedals, you name it. The VR goggles I am using, all of those things. It's all down there. I'm sure there's some information that I've left out
23.0.
Outside.
that somebody might want, but I think
Keep low.
all the most important information is
Clear.
there.
Outside. Clear.
All right, I heard clear, so we're going to get back to the top.
13th place.
13th, I like it. So see, the caution clock this is where it's going to really help, because things are spread out now. And that caution clock in the future, when we get into some longer races,
Pollard is now in the lead.
Pollard instead of Bubba Pollard. So I'm sure to get a chuckle out of that.
Okay, Brian. The next car is Smith.
But the caution clock would, every 20 minutes, if we leave it at that, throw a caution and get us all back grouped together, give us a chance to go to pit road if we need to, get those fresh tires, fuel.
The gap to Peters behind is increasing. It's now 0.9.
There we go. That's what I like to hear. That's what I need, because again, I can see in front of me and I can see visually if we're catching that guy, but behind me I have very little information on without having to glance down in the bottom right hand corner. And for realism purposes, I would love nothing more
Lap times are pretty consistent.
than to not have to glance anywhere to see anything and simply have the spotter and crew chief tell me everything I need to know. That would be perfect. So that's the end goal. We'll see how close we can get to that. Car's still rotating very nicely. Inside of 10 laps to go.
P13, the gap to Peters behind is increasing. It's now 1.5.
There we go. That's what I want to hear. Perfect. So in the future, I might actually turn up the frequency of those messages a little bit more, just for the ones behind. Just so that we can get, because I would prefer more chatter. Tell me the things that I cannot see visually from the car. Let me know those things. Of course, the ultimate would be actually to have a human spotter doing this while we're racing. But in the absence of that, we'll go with what we have. But yeah, I have not had to glance down at the standings one time, other than to look and see what lap we were on earlier.
5 laps to go.
Alright, so that was the iRacing spotter telling me 5 laps to go, which is good. So we are reeling these guys in front of us, but of course we're going to just simply run out of time at this point. So no caution clock. It should have been off the screen actually several laps ago. This race has gone by so quickly.
The gap in front is now 2.5.
So 2.5 in front. I don't remember what it was
Need to go
before.
straight.
So if those messages are going to be few and far between, then I'm going to have to remember what the gap was.
2 laps left.
There we go. I was just wondering that actually.
White flag next time by a stripe.
All right, so coming to the white.
White flag, 1 more lap.
I hate for this race to be over. Right now, this is one of those times I wish this was a special event so that we could at least run more laps. But 35 laps is way too short. I cannot wait till we get into the other series.
P13. Okay, that's the finish.
second flag.
Well done, mate.
Bring it on home and let's get out of here.
Again, you can see the attitude difference there. I'm going to go ahead and park it over here to the side. Again, we could go to pit road, but I've had some issues with those guys getting blocked up there and contact and all that kind of thing using that. So we'll simply pull over on the back stretch and see that we finished in 13th position. A very clean, a very
13th
quick
place.
race.
Okay, it's over.
Very quick race, very clean. It was everything I was looking for another solid event. 13th position. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and stick around for more custom career mode and VR gameplay.